Hello. Hey guys, Jackie here, and today I'm going to be doing my first review of the new expansion, Knights of the Frozen Throne. In fact, I'm actually going to be doing all of my reviews today, and I'm going to upload them all at the same time. So yeah, for those of you who watch me regularly, you can see I've had a shave. I just kind of, I don't know, I fancied a change. I was enjoying trying to grow a beard, but yeah, I fancied a change. Anyway, let's just dive straight into it. I'm going to start with the Druid class, and I'm going to do a video for each class, and then I'll do a few videos on the neutral cards. So, let's go. First card we have to talk about is the Druid hero card, Malfurion the Pestilent, 7 mana, and it's choose one, summon 2 poisonous spiders or 2 scarabs with taunt. You also get 5 armor when you play this. So, there's another card that summons 2 poisonous spiders for 5 mana. So, you can kind of say that this is like that. But for 2 extra mana, you're getting 5 armor and upgrading your hero power. Plus, you have the flexibility of getting the 2 scarabs with taunt. Obviously, 2 scarabs with taunt, they are 1/5 scarabs. So, that is 10 points of health. So, it's basically giving you probably 10 extra life. But it's very slow. It upgrades your hero power to deal 3 damage. Well, choose one, deal 3 damage, or gain 3 armor. And like, if you're going to be playing this, it has to be a control druid. Like, you're not going to be playing this in anything aggressive, that's for sure. And summoning, like, the 2 taunts, I feel like you're going to be wanting the taunts a lot more than you're going to be wanting the spiders. You're only going to want the spiders if you're in kind of like a slow matchup, if you're in a comfortable position. If you're, like, doing completely fine, I mean, if you're in a bad position and struggling against aggro, you're pretty much always going to be going for the taunts. Gaining 3 armor is pretty significant, but Druid already has tools like Feral Rage and Earthen Scales for gaining armor. Like, personally, I don't really like Feral Rage that much. I don't think Feral Rage is that great. But Earthen Scales is, like, amazing for gaining a huge amount of armor in decks like J Druid. So, I don't think this card will see much play. However, of all of the hero cards, I think this is the easiest to underestimate. Like, changing your hero power to deal 3 damage is nice. Plus, like, it's mainly the flexibility of it. Because it's a choose one, it looks weaker than it is. Because the flexibility of the card, being able to get taunts or scarabs and armor or attack from your hero power, the flexibility of it makes it stronger than it looks. But yeah, I don't think it's... I'm not super excited by this card. Okay. Next we have Ultimate Infestation. I am excited about this card. 10 mana spell, deal 5 damage, draw 5 cards, gain 5 armor, and summon a 5/5 ghoul. 5s everywhere. This card is actually insane in terms of the value you're getting for... like, what it does for the amount of mana cost. Obviously, it costs 10 mana, which is a lot. But for that 10 mana, you're drawing 5 cards, which is crazy. Like, you have Sprint as a card, which costs 7 mana, and that's draw 4. However, Sprint is slightly overcosted because Rogue has Prep. But, like, Nourish is played very regularly. 5 mana, draw 3 cards. So 5 extra mana, you're getting 2 extra cards. You're getting 5 armor. You're dealing 5 damage. And you're summoning a 5/5. Like, the value you get from this is insane. Some people have been comparing it to the old Ancient of Lore. 7 mana, 5/5, draw 2 cards. Well, you can restore 5 health as well, but very often you're using it to draw 2 cards. This is the same as that, but you get 3 extra cards, plus you deal 5 damage, plus you gain 5 armor. So it's great value. I imagine this will definitely see play somewhere. The obvious issue with it is that it costs 10 mana, which is a lot. And so it might be one of those cards that you kind of... it might be too clunky to play 2 of in your deck, because, like, having 2 10 mana cards can be pretty clunky. Like, if you can just lose to aggro and have 2 of these sitting in your hand. So it might be one of those cards where in things like Druid or slower Druid decks, it might be something that you want to play it as a one of, like playing one of this card potentially. Yeah, two seems excessive. I would like to think that this is like in Druid at the moment. A lot of people play Gadgets and Auctioneer. I would hope that this is going to replace Auctioneer and Druid. But it might be the case where you play like one Auctioneer, one Ultimate Infestation, something like that. Because playing two of these is pretty clunky. So this, I feel like this is going to be one of those cards that you're going to have like, it's almost going to be like a legendary. I feel where you just play like one of it in your deck. Yeah, seems good. Good card. Okay, next card. 3 mana spell, Nash. Give your hero +3 attack and gain 3 armor. So similar to Bite, except it costs 1 less mana, you get 1 less attack, and 1 less armor. Bite has never really seen much play. But Druid's 3 mana slot is actually... Like, Druid has a lot of stuff to contest in the 4 mana slot. You've got, like, Swipe, you've got Fandral, you've got Maya Keeper, you've got, like, Violet Teacher. Like, there's different things. Like, in Druid, you've got Jade Spirit. So I actually think this is better than Bite. Mainly because Druid's 3 mana slot is a lot more awkward than the 4 mana slot. And partly because dealing 3 damage is pretty nice at the moment. There's a lot of meta decks that have 3 health minions that you need to kill. And so having like 3 damage is really nice. Like killing like a Fledgling or a War Leader or some kind of Totem, Primal Fin, Mana Tide, Flame Tongue, that type of thing. So yeah, it's one of those cards where it's nothing flashy, it's nothing insane, and it's also not that good. But because of Druid's lack of stuff in the 3 mana slot, I almost feel like this will see some play somewhere. Just as removal, like you're not using it, you're not playing it for the 3 armor, but you're using it for the killing something with 3 health. Like if I could play 4 Wraths in my Druid or whatever mid-rangey Druid I'm playing, I would. So yeah, it's not great, but I feel like I would play this in some stuff. I quite like maybe playing this in like if it like Token Druid. All you're trying to do is like survive the first few turns, and then you're trying to have like swingy turns with Violet Teachers and stuff. I would consider playing this in the deck. One thing though is that we have Tar Creeper now, which is a very good 3-drop. So yeah, would you play this over Tar Creeper? Probably not. Anyway. Moving on. Crypt Lord, 3 mana, 1/6 taunt. After you summon a minion, gain +1 health. So, speaking of Tar Creeper, this has similarities to Tar Creeper. It's obviously has 1 more health than Tar Creeper. However, it doesn't have 3 attack on your opponent's turn. But it has the potential to keep getting more and more and more and more health. This feels like it would be much better in a token style deck than a slower deck, because you want to be using its effect. You want to be gaining health on this as much as you can. So in some kind of mid-rangey tokeny Druid, we could maybe play. I mean, you could actually consider playing this in aggro. Like you want to be playing. I feel like if you're playing this card, you really want to be playing a deck where you can buff its attack. So you're playing like Power of the Wild. You're playing Mark of the Lotus, that type of thing. Yeah, and I like this in those kind of decks. But I think its health is huge. Like, you play this on 3, and then the turn after you do, like, Violet Teacher, Innovate, Power of the Wild or something. And this gets, like, 3 health from that. So it goes up to 9 health, plus you buff its attack. Like, it has high potential. This card has really high potential. I do like it a lot. But, it is, like, a defensive card, but you're going to want to be playing it in a token deck. So, yeah. Like, maybe like, mid-range Token Druid, we can think about playing this card. Okay, 4 mana 2/3 Strong Shell Scavenger. Battlecry, give your taunt minions +2/+2. So it is Bolster on a stick. Bolster obviously never really took off in Warrior. Druid has got some good new taunts though. The 3 mana guy is really good. There's a 5 mana spell we'll be coming onto in a minute. So this card has, like, it can do a lot of stuff. If you're getting this buff on, 2 minions, you're very happy. If you're getting this buff on 1 minion, it's not bad. One of the reasons this could see play is because it has such high potential with the 1/5 taunts. So it's good with the 1/5 taunts you could get from your Druid hero card, but also the 1/5 taunts you can get from Spreading Plague. So yeah, obviously the problem with a 1/5 taunt is that it has 1 attack, and it your opponent can trade their 5/5 into your 1/5 taunt, and all it does is just they still have a 5/4 left on the board, which you've got to deal with. So buffing the attack of your taunt minions, if you're playing a deck that has lots of 1/5 taunts, like Spreading Plague, like Druid of the Swarm, which you can pick as a 1/5, then like you're probably going to play this card just because you need your taunt to be above 1 attack. Yeah, so I do kind of like the idea of just a full anti-aggro taunt Druid deck. And you would play this in that deck. Is that deck going to be good, though? Yeah. Possibly not. Like, I don't know why you would... I mean, it's... Like, say you're, like, thinking about playing J-Druid or a more defensive version. Like, a mid-range taunt Druid is going to be better against aggro than J-Druid. But it's not going to be as good against control. So yeah, having like an anti-aggro Druid deck with all these taunt minions could be pretty interesting. Yeah. Okay, moving on. Druid of the Swarm. Talked about this briefly. 2 mana 1/2. Choose one. Transform into a 1/2 with Poisonous or a 1/5 with Taunt. So it does feel like a lot of the time you're going to be wanting to go for that 1/5 Taunt. But the flexibility, once again, makes it better. So a 1/2 Poisonous in some situations can be very, very good. Against aggro, obviously, you're very often going to be going for the taunt. And yeah, it's not like insane or anything. It's not insane. Using it with Fandral, you get, I'm assuming you get a 1/5 taunt Poisonous, which is good, really good. But I like this card a lot. Because Druid doesn't have many early minions right now. And this is an early minion that has the potential to be nicely defensive. So I actually imagine this will see some play. I'm actually looking forward to trying a taunt type Druid deck. But yeah, like a 1/5 taunt, like we've already got a 2 mana 1/4 taunt. There is a neutral 2 mana 1/4 taunt, the one that gives your Cthulhu taunt. 1 extra health is a nice improvement. Is it enough to make it see play? I mean, it's combined with the flexibility of giving it a spider, right? That's what makes it good. It's the flexibility. Yeah, like I don't think you'd play this in like J-Druid, but the thing about, like, I almost feel like you might even play this in like a, like, could we even make like a token taunt deck? So you're playing all these like very low attack minions that have taunt and very high health. And then you are also playing things like Valor Teachers, you're playing like Mark of Lotuses, Power of the Wild. I'm going to be very interested to try that type of thing. So not just a defensive taunt Druid deck, but also like a tokeny taunt Druid deck. Yeah, definitely going to try that. Another thing about these 1/5 taunts is that swipe is really bad in the current meta. In the current meta, swipe is almost always, when you're using swipe, you're pretty much always just using it to kill 1 minion. And then the 1 damage to everything is often irrelevant, because there aren't many decks that fill the board with a load of 1/1s. Everything has like 2 or 3 health, and there aren't many good spell damage cards to use with your swipe. There are a couple of new spell damage cards though, so we could potentially be seeing like the 2 mana 1/1 Divine Shield is a pretty interesting card. I imagine that'll see some play. Like you could maybe even play that in Druid and give your swipe spell damage. But yeah, anyway, the 1/5 taunts can help set up your swipe. So your opponent will have to trade their minions into the 1/5 taunt, and then they'll have lower health, so it's going to be easier for you to swipe to actually clear the opponent's board. So these 1/5 taunts do make swipe. Like, I really don't like swipe at the moment. I really think it's like, bad in the current meta, but these type of cards can help improve swipe. Okay. Web Weave. 5 on a spell. Summon 2, 1/2 poisonous spiders. So one of Druid's weaknesses is that they have no like hard removal. So if your opponent plays a 4 mana 7/7, for example, you don't really have a good way of dealing with it right now. You could play Naturalize, but then you're giving your opponent 2 cards, which you don't really want to do. So these poison, giving Druid like lots of poisonous stuff really helps them have the like potential to deal with these big threats. Obviously, 2 1/2 spiders can be cleared pretty easily, but there's going to be a lot of situations where your opponent's like, "Oh, they've got poisonous. Let's consecrate his 2 1/2 spiders," and like the 1/2 spiders are threatening. They're very threatening. So this is one of those cards that I definitely think is better than it looks. Yeah, I think this card's better than it looks. Like, maybe if you're playing a Druid deck that is so in need of, like, hard removal, maybe you would play one of these in it. Because I don't think this card is, like, amazing, but it does fill a spot that Druid struggles with, so... It's one of those cards that you probably... I would expect to probably not see any play. But if there's a Druid deck that is just, like... It's great, but you just can't deal with big minions at all. You might want to put one of these in. Okay, Spreading Plague. 5 on a spell. Summon a 1/5 Scarab with Taunt. If your opponent has more minions, cast this again. So, unleash the Scarabs, but not quite. So, it's only really good when your opponent has lots of stuff on the board and you don't have stuff on the board. So, if you have, say you have 5 minions on your board and your opponent has 5 minions on the board, this does absolutely nothing. So it's only good when you're behind, which in Druid, a lot of the time you are. Like, it's Druid decks such as J-Druid and slower Druid decks are generally trying to ramp up on the first few turns and then do stuff later in the game. And this is great for that type of thing. So you have plenty of time to play your Wild Growth, your Jade Blossom, your Maya Keeper early on to just get your mana going. And then you use your Spreading Plague to instantly get back on the board. Your opponent Token Shaman has got 5 minions on the board, and you Spreading Plague and get 5 1/5 taunts, which is pretty insane. Like, this card has really high potential, but it's obviously only very good in specific situations and only against specific decks. So it's only good against decks that are playing lots of minions, and it's only good when you're actually behind. But I think the potential of this card and the fact that it really helps Druid with something that it's bad at, which is clearing the opponent's board. Like, Primordial Drake is... Lots of people play Primordial Drake in Druid at the moment, because it's just better than Swipe. But yeah, this card is really nice. I expect to see this card around, bouncing around places. It's nice and defensive. And I'm going to be trying this out in multiple decks. Like, I want to try this in like a Token Druid where you're like a kind of mid-range Token Druid where you do want to ramp early on and then have swingy turns in the mid-game. This will really help with that. And maybe some other slow decks like J Druid and that type of thing we could try it out in. It is another thing to note though, because it's summoning these 1/5 taunts. Once again, it is really nice if you're playing buffs in your deck. So you play this on turn 6 with like Mark of the Lotus. The difference between 1/5 taunts and 2/6 taunts is pretty insane. Like, the difference in attack means they can trade into so many more things. So yeah, I would like to see this in a mid-range token Druid deck. Fate Spinner. 5 mana, 5/3 epic. Choose a death rattle secretly. Deal 3 damage to all minions or give them +2/+2. So the +2/+2 death rattle gives it to all minions. So not just your own, it gives it to opponent's minions as well. Or deal 3 damage to all minions. Like, when I first saw this card, I was like, oh my god, this card's insane. Deal 3 damage to all minions? Like, Druid has terrible AoE. This is, this is really going to help Druid clear your opponent's board. Which it can do. But it is obviously a death rattle AoE. So your opponent can play around it a little bit. They could maybe, like, silence this minion. And it's also like delayed. It's not like an instant AoE. It's not like a Hellfire. You have to play this, and then your opponent can do what they want. And then you pop its Death Rattle and get your AoE later. So I'm not as excited about it currently as I was when I first saw this card. It is very interesting that it's secretly though. So your opponent doesn't actually know which one you've picked. So there will be situations where you can bait them into thinking you've picked one of them, and then you've actually picked the other one, and you kind of screw them over. Something like that. But for example, your opponent has a big board. You play your Fate Spinner. They're going to assume you've picked the 3 damage because obviously they've got a big board. Instead, you pick the +2/+2, and then you proceed to play your 5-mana Spreading Plague and get a big board. Trade your Fate Spinner off, and then they all get +2/+2. Which is not that good because their minions are going to get +2/+2 as well. But, yeah, okay, it's not that good. I mean, if you can, like, kill a couple of their minions off, then it can be good. But, yeah, there's definitely quirky things you can do with this. Druid has a lot of stuff in the 5-mana slot right now. Like, we've got 3 new 5-mana Druid cards. You've already got, like, Nourish. Like, Druid of the Claw. Druid of the Claw is a good card that isn't even... No one even plays it in Druid right now, really. Yeah, I like this card. I like this card. What kind of deck are you going to be playing this in? Is the question. Like, are you going to use it? Are you going to be using it in a deck where you want to get the +2/+2 buff, or are you going to want to using it in a deck where you get the 3 damage to all minions? Initially, I thought definitely the 3 damage to all minions because it's something that Druid doesn't have. A 3 damage AoE is just something that Druid has never had, and could be insane. But now I'm almost thinking maybe like a more tokeny Druid, or maybe just nothing. It's a yeah, it's a really cool card. Okay, the Druid Legendary Hadronox, a 3/7 9-mana 3/7 beast. Death Rattle. Summon your taunt minions that died this game. So the card itself doesn't have taunt, so it's a 9-mana 3/7. Obviously, bringing back all your taunt minions can be absolutely insane. If you've had a lot of the 1/5s die as well, like this thing's Death Rattle can be pretty bonkers. However, it's not a battle cry, it's a death rattle. So you don't get all the minions as soon as you play this. Plus, it has 7 health. So it's actually really hard for you to actually just kill this off. Like, your opponent is probably not going to have a minion with over 7 attack, sorry. So it's going to be very hard to actually kill this off so you can actually trigger the death rattle. Like, that's the worst thing about this card. The worst thing about this card is actually it's hard to trigger the death rattle. Also, it's like could be silenced, devolved, hexed, whatever. So this card is really dodgy because it's so slow and so hard to get the death rattle off even. But if you do manage to get the death rattle off, you can literally just get a board of taunts. So you can get you can really get rewarded for getting your board of taunts. I mean, maybe you even like play this on 10 with Naturalize. You just play this on 10, Naturalize it. Yes, your opponent gets 2 cards, but bam, you get a load of taunts. Like, maybe he plays in, like, Mildred, man. Mildred? Taunt Mildred? Oh, God. I haven't played Mildred in so long. I'd love to play some Mildred. Anyway, yeah, I'm not that excited about this card. I don't think it's... I feel like it's just too slow. Feels bad, man. Getting it off Barnes would be insane. But you're going to be playing this in a deck with Barnes? Probably not, because probably the rest of your minions are just going to be taunts. This is probably like going to be one of the only things that's actually good to get off it. Mate, taunt token Druid. Something I'm going to be trying. But yeah, this feels a bit too slow. Okay. That's Druid. And yeah, I think Druid has got some really interesting cards. Like Druid has got a variety of stuff. It's definitely got some of the wackiest stuff, and a lot of things I want to like. Spreading Plague is a very interesting card. Fate Spinner is pretty crazy. Ultimate Infestation is very crazy. Druid has got some crazy cards, man. I'm really looking forward to trying this, and like cards like Spreading Plague can give mid-range token Druid. It's just a tool that the deck would love to have, but has never really had. Like a comeback on board, like a comeback mechanic, essentially. So yeah, I like this. I like Druid's new cards a lot. There's some cards that are a bit dodgy, like Fate Spinner is. It's so quirky. It's so quirky, and because it's a death rattle, it feels it's gonna be hard to pull off. So it's gonna be one of these cards that's fun to try, but I feel like it's probably not quite gonna be good enough. Same with Web Weave, probably not quite going to be good enough. Possibly. If you're playing Mill Druid, I think you would play the Druid Hero card, by the way. Like, the Druid Hero card is very good in a very slow Druid deck. Without a doubt. Yeah. But is there any reason to play it in Jade Druid? I would say no. Okay. Well, hope you guys enjoyed my review. I'll be back with my next review very shortly. Can't wait for the expansion.